At 2:43 in the morning, I reached across the mattress instinctively. Stacy's spot was vacant, but the lingering heat in the sheets said she'd just gotten up, likely for the bathroom, or maybe she'd gone downstairs. When a few minutes passed with no sign of her, I slid out of bed. A subtle, sweet scent led me to the kitchen. There on the counter, under a layer of foil, a tray of lemon bars sat cooling. Stacy only ever baked them when guilt gnawed at her. But there'd been no fight between us that night, which meant her remorse wasn't about me. Her tablet lay glowing on the kitchen island. Normally, she kept it locked, always. I didn't lay a finger on it, but the screen was already showing an open chat. That's when I realized it must have been syncing with her phone. She had to be somewhere else in the house, messaging him, unaware her words were appearing right here. Tomorrow, sunrise. No more hiding. The message came from Gabriel Ortiz. The name rang familiar. He worked at her office. One of the team leads she often mentioned, always in passing. The guy who helped her finish up or stayed late with her. His name had come up just often enough to seem casual, but not so much that I didn't notice. And now his texts were lighting up her tablet like the final puzzle piece falling into place. The timestamp said 2:40 a.m., just 3 minutes earlier. I lifted the foil on the lemon bars. Tucked beneath, inside a plastic bag, were 2 items: Stacy's wedding ring and a spare fob for the house. No note, no explanation, just things. A silent goodbye. Then another message blinked onto the screen. He won't see it coming. I shut the tablet, picked up the bag, and returned upstairs. Stacy was back in bed by then, lying quietly, her breaths slow and steady. Either she hadn't heard me, or she was pretending not to. I slipped the bag into my nightstand and lay down next to her. I didn't wake her. I didn't say a word. Staring into the dark, one truth settled over me with startling clarity. After 3 decades of marriage, all it would take was 30 seconds to walk away. At 6:06 a.m., my phone alarm vibrated on the nightstand. I silenced it before it could rouse her. Stacy was still sleeping, curled tightly against the far edge of the bed. I sat on the edge of the mattress and gave myself exactly half a minute. 30 years spent together, and now I had 30 seconds to make the most important choice of my life: remain in a marriage built on betrayal, or leave before I lost whatever part of me was still intact. When the clock changed to 6:07, I had my answer. I opened the drawer, took out the bag with her ring and key fob, and placed it on the dresser where she couldn't miss it. No letter, no dramatic farewell, just the truth laid bare. She would understand. Then I packed. Just the essentials: my passport, the external drive with all my workshop's designs and blueprints, my grandfather's pocket knife, enough to carry, enough to start over. Before stepping out, I removed my own wedding ring and hung it on the apron hook beside the pantry, the same spot Stacy always left her grocery lists. A small, deliberate gesture. She'd find it. I gave the kitchen one last look. The lemon bars were still there, waiting to complete a morning routine I had no intention of being part of. I climbed into my truck and pulled away from the house. At 7:10, my phone lit up. A message from her. Coffee, talk, just that. As if nothing had happened. As if she hadn't slipped her ring into a plastic bag and left it beneath lemon bars at 3 in the morning. I didn't reply. I placed the phone face down on the passenger seat. By 7:30, I was parked in front of my workshop. I unlocked the door, walked inside, and stretched out on the office couch. I closed my eyes. 3 decades undone in 30 seconds. She never saw it coming. I didn't turn my phone back on until much later. When I did, a notification from the Smart Lock app waited for me. A new access code had been added at 9:12 a.m. The label read, Guest 05. That was all I needed to see. Stacy had made space for him. Permanently. No accident, no heat-of-the-moment mistake. She hadn't intended to confess or seek forgiveness. She was already making room for his arrival. I drove back, but parked a little way down the block. From where I sat, I could clearly see the driveway. At 9:40, a silver sedan pulled in. Gabrielle Ortiz emerged from the house carrying a pair of cardboard boxes. Stacy came out after him, a smile playing on her lips like she'd been anticipating this moment. Neither of them rushed. There was no secrecy in their movements. She held the door wide open for him and rested her hand lightly on his arm as he passed by. I watched as he kissed her. Not passionately, not furtively, just an easy, practiced gesture. Like it was routine, like I no longer existed. Right then, the last bit of denial I hadn't even realized I'd been holding on to broke apart. I stayed in my car, unmoving, until the garage door had closed behind them. My grip tightened on the steering wheel, not from anger, but from clarity. This wasn't some mistake or a bad week we'd worked through. This was reality. Their reality now. By 10:15, I was already on the highway, leaving that neighborhood behind. I checked into a roadside motor lodge and paid cash for a 3-night stay. By noon, my phone lit up with 12 unread messages from Stacy. "Where are you? We need to talk. Don't turn this into something bigger than it is." I powered off the phone and tossed it on the nightstand. For the first time in 3 decades, I wasn't orbiting her world anymore. The next morning, I drove into town and walked into First Harbor Credit. Within 30 minutes, I'd redirected my carpentry payments. The joint account would no longer receive a dime from me after that day. I headed next to the storage unit we'd kept over the years, stuffed with what she no longer needed or noticed. My dad's fishing gear, stacks of old blueprints, the vintage record player. I packed only those, left behind the holiday bins and extra furniture. I wasn't about to argue over things that had lost meaning. Back at the motel, I laid everything out on the floor. Tools in one pile, sentimental pieces in another. That night, I plugged in the flash drive with the smart lock logs I'd pulled from the system. Every access code, every timestamp, neatly marking the progression of betrayal. I saved the file, not for leverage, not to weaponize, but to remind myself I hadn't imagined any of it. I'd already made up my mind. No blow-up in our kitchen, no pleading, no final dramatic scene. We would speak only once, in a place untouched by our past, and I would walk away clean. I picked the Franklin Street Diner for that exact reason. Neutral ground, free of shared memories. I arrived 10 minutes before noon and took a seat with my back against the wall. Stacy came in exactly on time. She looked the same, composed, careful, but her eyes scanned the room nervously before landing on me. She slid into the seat across from me. "Paul," she said, almost like she didn't know me. "Stacy." "You vanished," she said quickly. "You can't just disappear like that." "I can," I replied. And I did. She pressed her palms together like she was praying for the right words. "I never meant for you to find out the way you did. You baked lemon bars in the middle of the night and hid your wedding ring under them," I said evenly. "That's not something that just happens." Her jaw tensed. "I felt unseen, Paul, for years. Gabriel wasn't—" "Don't say it just happened." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. She already knew what she'd done. She looked down at the table, her eyes flitting like she expected me to pull out some kind of evidence. "This doesn't have to feel like a courtroom," she said. "I'm not here to debate," I said. "I'm here to finalize things." She leaned forward, her voice hushed now. "We can try counseling, or some time apart. Just something." "There's nothing left to repair," I told her. "You made your decision. Now I'm making mine." For the first time, her voice wavered. "So that's it? After 30 years, you're just done?" "Yes." She sat back, arms folded. I could tell she wanted a reaction, some fire, but I wasn't going to give her one. "You'll hear from a mediator within a week," I said. "Either the house goes up for sale or you buy me out. The accounts are already split. I'm not dragging this out." She blinked quickly, but no tears came. "You're colder than I ever thought you could be." No, I said, rising from the booth. I'm just done. And I left her there, her coffee still untouched. A week later, I moved into a small room above North Current Books. The woman who owned the place didn't ask questions. She handed over the key and said, "Rent's due on the 1st. Mail comes downstairs." That was all I needed. No sympathy, no curiosity. 3 days in, a text came through from a number I didn't recognize. "Paul, it's me, Gabriel. Can we talk? Just once. Man to man." I looked at the message for a long time before finally answering with a single word: where? We agreed to meet at Whitfield Park, neutral ground. He arrived in a button-down shirt, no tie, clearly trying to project an image of decency. "Thanks for meeting me," he said. "You asked," I responded. He shifted his weight, restless. "Listen," he started. "I know you don't owe me anything, but I felt like I needed to explain." He glanced away, unsure. "Stacy told me your marriage was done, that you'd checked out emotionally. I believed her." My hands stayed buried in my jacket pockets. He swallowed hard. "But I see now it wasn't like that. And honestly, I don't want things to keep going with her. She wants more, and I never signed up for that." I kept my eyes on him. "You came into my home, took something that didn't belong to you, and now you're saying you don't even want it?" He flinched at the words. "I'm saying I screwed up. I made a bad call. I don't see a future with her. I just need her to get that." For a moment, it looked like he braced himself for a punch. I didn't move. "You're hoping I'll fix this for you," I said. "Not happening. You made your bed. So did she." His jaw tightened as he stared down at the pavement. "I thought she'd pick up on the signs." "Then say it to her face," I said. "Because I'm done cleaning up her messes. She's your responsibility now." I turned and left him by the fountain, already looking like a man stuck in something he never really wanted. Back in the small room above the bookstore, I sat on the narrow bed, and something clicked into place. It wasn't anger that kept me moving forward. It was distance. I didn't need to yell at him, didn't need to shame Stacy. The strength was in the space I'd claimed, a place where neither of them had control anymore. That night, I went to sleep without once reaching for my phone. The mediation was scheduled for Thursday afternoon in a modest office space. Allison Pierce, the mediator, set the tone immediately. "We're here to divide property equitably. That's it. No blame, no raised voices, just agreements." Stacy sat across from me, hands locked tightly together. Gabriel wasn't present. This was strictly between her and me. Allison started with the house. "Will either of you be buying out the other's share, or are you choosing to sell?" I answered before Stacy could open her mouth. "It's going on the market. I want a clean break." Stacy shot me a quick look. "That's still our home." "It was," I said. "That time's over." Next came the finances. Allison mentioned the account changes I'd already initiated. "You've separated earnings. Retirement funds will be split evenly." I gave a short nod. "That's fair." Stacy's voice was nearly a whisper. "We don't have to treat each other like strangers." "Yes, we do," I replied, calm and certain. When the session ended, Allison neatly gathered the documents. "I'll draft everything and send it to both of you within a week." That evening, my phone rang. A former client. "Paul, I need a custom kitchen table for the new house. Can you take the job?" "Yes," I told him. It was the first commission since I walked away. A blank start. Solid wood. Clean lines. Back at the apartment above the bookstore, blueprint paper tucked under my arm, I felt grounded. Not in someone else's shadow, not in shared space. Just mine. Weeks passed. One night, around 2 a.m., the same hour everything had first unraveled, I was in my workshop. Not in a kitchen built on lies, but at my bench, smoothing the surface of a new cedar tabletop. The grain glided like silk beneath my palm. My phone buzzed once. A message from Stacy. Paper signed? Didn't think you'd actually go through with it. I read it twice, then erased it. No response. I picked up a slim cedar strip from the keepsake box and placed it aside, a hidden detail for the underside of the table. Only I would know it was there. A signature that said, I left, and I kept going. 30 years of marriage, dissolved in half a minute, and she never saw it coming. I thought about the house I'd walked away from, the garage I used to watch from across the street, the diner where I told her it was done. Every step had been purposeful, not about getting even, not about fury, just about clarity. Right before dawn, I sent Stacy one final message. I hope you find clarity too. Her gamble on Gabriel crumbled faster than even she expected. In a matter of months, he stopped answering her calls, told mutual friends he wasn't interested in commitment, and discreetly arranged a transfer to a different branch. What remained behind was neither him nor me, only a stack of divorce papers she never truly believed would end up on her desk. By the time the court finalized the dissolution of our marriage, Gabriel had vanished, and Stacy was left alone to confront the mess she had made. To me, it no longer resembled a conclusion. It felt more like the first step into something still and sharpened, something that belonged solely to me. For the first time in years, I wasn't suspended in someone else's decision. I had already made my own, and it had taken just half a minute.